We're live. Hello, SupConnect community. Kristen Thomas here. Last time you saw me, I had a cowboy hat on. I was in Oklahoma. Now I'm on the other side of the world. I am coming to you from Bratislava, Slovakia. But I'm talking to someone near my hometown in Los Angeles. It is a small world, isn't it? And wonderful that we can move all over the place. So while I'm sort of on a racing path right now, we're going to move away from that and talk to Tim Sanford, an amazing guy who I met before I believe he started any of his businesses, but he has at least 3 businesses, maybe more that I don't know about, we'll find out, in the stand-up paddle world, and has done some really innovative things, but also just love his whole take on instruction and his paddle method business. He really has a really refined, interesting approach. Oh, hello, Christy. Great to see you, hear from you. Thanks again, everyone who's joining. If you're joining for the first time, this is live, but it immediately goes to IGTV on SupConnect's channel, and then it will be put on YouTube. So you can tell people if there's something interesting that you can get back to it. Hey, Stacy Mack. Gosh. Started a video and stuff. Should I tell him to log into yours? Oh, whoops. Yeah, he might need some help. Yes. So we're on SupConnects, and I'm going to try to find him to invite him on. There's always this little uncomfortable period of will the technology work, and will I be able to find my guest for today? But super excited. Again, thanks if I kind of had an unusual show last week because I was in Oklahoma for an ICF Sup Cup and gave you a tour of an amazing water facility called Riversport OKC. Go back and watch that if that's something that interests you. But let's see if we can find, let's see, nobody's requesting. Let's see who's in here. Thank you, those of you. We have some regulars, always good to. Hi, Lawrence, Johnny, Joseph, Ann. Doesn't look like. So, Stacy, yes, if you could help me out, that he needs to close his live and come on over here to SupConnect. I can find him even if he doesn't remember how to volunteer to join me. But I'm traveling in Eastern Europe because I'm heading for Poland. That's where the ICF, International Canoe Federation, which is one of the 2 international organizations that is helping to grow the sport of stand-up in their own unique ways. But this is their world championship, and I am lucky enough to be a race official. I think I saw Rami. Are you still there? Thanks to Rami Zur, who helped get me into this. It's been quite a few years. Pre-COVID, they had their very first international championship in China. So a handful of us from all over the globe got to be trained as ITOs, International Technical Officials. And good to see you. Who else do we have here? Well, we don't yet have, I'm not sure, again, he has a couple Instagram handles, but I think we're looking for Perfect Paddles, one of his businesses. Paddle Method, I believe, is the main business in his first one. Tortilla Flotilla Sup. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. In Maryland. That's not where I thought it would be. So check in while we're waiting to find Tim. Maybe tell me where you're from. Again, some regulars. Always great to see you guys. Big Willie's Nashville. Susie Graff, how are you? Doggies and grandbabies. Hopefully everyone's well. Hopefully things are good at home. I believe I've been out for a while. So Tim, there's a Tim Buck Brown. Great to see you. So we're stalling a bit. Tell me what you're up to. It's actually 10 p.m. here in Eastern Europe, but it's funny. It's 1 p.m. in Pacific time, where I usually do these from. Oh, from Poland. Wonderful. I hope you're somebody that I get to meet next week when I arrive. Gretong. I will be in Gdynia and Dansk. You don't pronounce the G, someone told me, so hopefully I'm saying that right. Okay, they're doing a live video, so again, Stacy, if you can tell them it's not their video, they need to come on over here to SupConnect. Oh, Stacy, you're there at Mother's Beach, so we're going to talk about Mother's Beach in Los Angeles. Are you visiting, or did you move to Los Angeles? That is in Marina del Rey, and I believe that's where Tim bases his businesses, although one of them is online. I would guess maybe Stacy, you're part of Perfect Paddles and are registered as one of the places that we go. Christy, let's see if we have him over here yet. I'm not sure if I can like send an invitation to him. I don't want to close this to message him. I could try emailing, I guess, while we're waiting. But let me know if you guys have any questions, suggested guests. Stacy Mack, I should interview you, huh? Talk about surfing in multiple countries. He is, yes, I'm with Tim. He asked me to help out. Oh, great. Very cool. So, yeah, Tim needs to, on Instagram, on his phone, go over to SupConnect and start watching this. And then as soon as he is watching it, I can invite him to join me and we will do the split screen. Paddle Safari, how are you? Good to see you. Sorry, those of you who, we're stalling here. Come on back in 10 minutes. Less than that. I'm going to say we're going to be going full bore in 2 minutes. Right, Stacy? You helping him out? So on his phone, on Tim's phone, that's hopefully looking at himself. Carlo. Where are you, Carlo? So yeah, Perfect Paddles keeps starting a live video. Don't start your own video, Tim. Come on over here and join us. They don't blend two videos. For those of you, everybody uses technology at some level, but boy, it's always changing and challenging to keep up with what they've come up with. Kayaking, hijabi. Ah, where are you? Kim, thanks Kim for joining us. Lawrence, you were just at something cool. Oh, you went to see the tennis. Not the topic of the conversation, but that's amazing. That must have been David. How are you? One of the fabulous stand-up paddle board racers from Brazil. I love the names on Instagram. They really are fun. All right, Stacy, again, if you can help me out, if you're with him, tell him to get on his phone and come on over and join us. There he is. Hey. He's too used to being the leader, I think.
Did we do it? Hey,
Yay, you did it. Sorry.
before we even start, I got to give a special thanks to Stacy Mack.
Hey, Stacy. So you
She's
got
our department and our paddle surf instructor and paddle instructor. Hello, hey.
that's
I'm
great.
gonna go back.
Okay. Thanks, Stacy.
Ciao.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. She was helping you out. I think you're used to being the leader, and so you were starting your own video over there on Perfect Paddles. Hey,
This is my first Instagram live, and I thought I was going to start a live, and then you were going to. I should stop paddling and spend more time learning how to do that.
no, we love that you spend so much time on the water. So let's start. And thank you for taking a break from time on the water. It looks like you're right. You're probably right down there. Are you at Mother's Beach in
Yeah,
Marina Del
I was
Rey?
kind of. It's not going to really do much for you, but that's Mother's Beach. I'm just sitting in the shade because it's the first 100-degree weekend we've had. It's hot where you were, right?
No, because I am on the other side of the globe. Actually, it's 10 p.m. in Bratislava, Slovakia.
Oh my God, you are amazing.
So though I live near you, but this is a life of you can be a nomad, right? And do these kinds of things. So usually everyone listening, I live within an hour, about 60 miles. That's more than an hour these days on the freeway, but just south of where Tim does his main businesses. But let's back up. I met you before I think you started any of your businesses through
You did.
different paddles in that area. And
I was thinking about that.
I don't remember when you first started. How'd you find stand-up paddling? And do you have kind of a water background, or was it a complete 180?
Yeah. No, I did. I was thinking just quickly how I think maybe the last time I saw you was at a Santa Monica pier paddle race. And I think it was the year you had a cut to your lip from a
Oh,
paddle. Remember that? Remember what year that was?
yes.
I use that story to this day about, like, just how little things can kind of pop up. And he's a awesome paddler, ambassador, instructor, badass who took a paddle to space and proceeded to go on to the race. I think it was kind of impressive. So that was the last time I did it. So it was maybe a decade ago.
Just tape the thing up. That was
There we
learning
go.
to sup surf and not paying attention to what I had been told. But we can talk
Yeah.
about that in a minute. Yeah, because I didn't follow instruction. Instruction is so important, but we will get to that. So tell me your story. When did you first start stand up?
So I started, I guess it would be 2010 would be the first time. So I grew up sailing boats with my family in New England. Moved, kind of was in Scotland and Seattle for school, and then came to LA in 2000, and it was teaching myself to surf, as I think people do. And I was out there, and I saw somebody on a stand-up. I keep trying to think if I know who it is now, who I first saw, but I was still trying to learn to surf on a longboard, and I saw somebody paddling by, and I really just struck me. I was like, I think I'd like that. I think I'd be good at that. It was like a profound thing, which I think we all share. Like, that just looked like something I wanted to do. So I think at that time it was really hard to find any. And I think I was even looking to buy a kayak at that time. I just wanted to get on the water. Something was going on. I wanted to get back to the water. And I saw somebody paddle by. And so I was trying to get one to see if I could even fit it in my apartment and just go through all that. And I think that year I went to vacation. This was a great trip. I was lucky enough to go to like St. John's in the Virgin Island. This is actually a great first paddle. I can't, even looking back, I'm like, I scored. And I was in St. John's staying at a campground in Cinnamon Bay, which I don't know if anybody knows it, but it's this tiny national park. It's a campground. You're right on the water's edge. It's all like coconuts and blue water. And I rented a board when I first got there. I'm like, oh, here's my chance to spend a week and do this thing. And the guy was super friendly, and just this little beachside kiosk. And he's like, well, I knew nothing. He's like, oh, go paddle around. You should go see this manta ray. And I'm like, cool, I'll go see this manta ray. And so all week I went looking for this manta ray, and I could never find it. And the day before I left, I was like, hey, bro, I can't find this manta ray. Where's this live? I keep going to this point you tell me about. And he's like, no, not that point. Like that point, way over there. And so my first paddle, I got to paddle for like 7 days in a row looking for this manta ray. And then that morning I paddled out. He's like, yeah, you gotta cross the channel and, just be careful if it gets windy. I was like, okay. And I didn't know, I don't think I had a leash or a PFD or anything. And I just crossed this channel. There's like an island in the middle. So I stopped there and had like a lunch or something. And I paddle and I get to this point. I'm like, I'm not even thinking I could even do this, right? I can't believe I'm allowed to even go do this kind of a thing. And I get there and I see at this point, there's this huge black shape under the water. I'm like, that's got to be this manta ray. And I paddle towards it and it comes to the surface and I'm coming to it. And I'm like, oh my God, it's this manta ray. And it takes its wing and puts it on my board.
What?
Right? Yeah. And
my gosh.
I'm like, I'm getting a tattoo. I'm connected to the sea, the manta ray. It's my spirit animal. I'm having this whole big moment. And it sort of just gives me a nudge and then drifts back down to its little home. And I'm paddling back and it's getting windier and it's all feeling kind of nautical and I'm loving it. And I get back, I'm like, bro, I saw this manta ray. I can't believe it. And I told him about it and how special I must be. And he's like, no. There's super territorial. You're all up in its space. He's like probably pushing you off.
Oh, I liked your story better. Forget what he said. I think you connected with it.
But I mean, I was so lucky. And actually looking back, so I didn't even know, but I'd gone back other years. And whoever ran that shop, he was an absentee owner, but you'll appreciate this. Like he was an expert windsurfer, so he had tons of wind. So this is a long time ago, he had all windsurf gear, and he had all Laird Surf Tech Pearson Arrow boards. Laird Pearson Arrow boards. I think before Surflight, like all of them. Like I think my first paddle was on probably an 11.6 or a 10.6, and all he had was quick blade paddles. So I'm like, I had the best first time experience on this great gear and this amazing location with this sort of adventurous moment. And I just felt like I could do this here. I could do this anywhere. I was thinking kayak. I'm now thinking paddle surfing. I was thinking sailing. I took some great sailboat trips in my life, and I'm like, I could go anywhere on one of these things. I just opened this whole box of
Yeah.
whatever I'm doing now stuff to it.
Like Forrest Gump, the box of chocolates with all the
It was
different
the box
possibilities.
of
Yeah. But how cool, you were lucky in a lot of ways. I mean, what an amazing experience. But like you said, you were
yeah,
very lucky you didn't have any incidents because the guy just threw
yeah.
some boards there and he didn't have any safety equipment. But so thank goodness you were strong enough to like be able to figure out how to do it. But
Didn't
great
even.
that,
I'd paddled like 5 days in a row before that, so if it was like day one, I probably would have I'd still be out there, just floating around. So yeah, I got like,
oh, what an amazing first time. That's great. And so cool that you caught the vision early. Well, like you said, you saw it even before you had tried it. Like, ooh, I think I see
yeah.
something in that. That's great. So you spent a few years before you kind of started the business part. So just playing, traveling, trying it out, getting better, or did you jump right into the
I,
coaching and
I
instruction?
Yeah, it all felt like good timing. Was working at the time in sales and business development and selling point of sale equipment at restaurants and small businesses, and that was okay. I was a buddy's company, and I was an outside sales manager, and it was just my first kind of was coaching people in sales. And the time this all happened around the same time. Actually, I was ending a 12-year relationship with this girl, and this job was like, we're not going to do outside sales, we're going to do inside sales. We want you to run this call center. And I'm like, none of this is good. And I went to some career counselor around the block. I had some meeting with her. It was one meeting, and she's like, let's think about what you like. Like all these things sort of were happening at once.
Yeah.
And but then I had that trip, and then I came back, and I was like, I got to do this. I think, I want to paddle more. And by that time, I was found a board to rent, and I had some experiences early on where I was like, I think I could do this a little bit better from a business standpoint. And so my first paddle in LA was, I guess, 2010. It's really hard to keep track of stuff.
Yeah.
So maybe 2010 in the spring, like in February. And I think I pretty much right away I took the ASI, the American ASI instructor training course by like February or March. So like somehow I felt like I could teach this. I just wanted to know everything I could know. So within the first paddle and my first kind of getting into it here in my hometown, I'm like, I'm taking that course. I'm going to dig into this just so I know what there is to know about it. And then same time, I had a buddy who, Mike Vaughn's not with us anymore, but he was super into it. And so we started paddling together. He loaned me a board, and he was doing a little business out of his garage. And he wanted to do races, so he wanted to be a pro that trained other people to be pros and to do races. So that's how come I first started doing races. I probably met you at and then my first race was the Malibu Downwinder of that same year. So it was like a crazy big race.
Yeah. That's not
Uh,
an easy one to start with.
I had another board. It was like, that was another back in the day, the big 12-foot, I think it was probably another Laird, maybe a soft top cruiser. So very stable. And I think it was pretty decent. It was like 15, 18 knots. So I remember finishing and doing okay. And just like, I'm all about everything we're doing here. I love all this stuff. So, and then I just felt the need. I just seemed like the kind of sport that other people would like. And I like the racing community aspect of it. I like it from a training standpoint, but I really felt like this was a kind of activity for everybody, and anybody who likes the water could do this stuff. So that's why I wanted to teach people to get into it. And it seemed like I still feel this way, perfect vehicle for people to, especially in LA, to like take part in the ocean around us here. And it all took off from there. People, getting people from flat water in the marina here, which is kind of hectic, into the ocean, which is around the corner, to catching waves, to races, to train and taking trips so other people could go find their manta ray or whatever it is. All kind of came at once. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I love that. And you talk about how Los Angeles, this huge, diverse city, where although
Yeah.
it's, bordered by water, and you have Marina del Rey as a perfect example, Not everybody
Uh,
gets to the outdoors. It's a city. And what I'd love to hear more about. You said you've had all types of people from all different kinds of backgrounds and stuff. You've been able to help them find their path with stand up.
yeah, I feel super lucky. I mean, I wish I could get out and show you. It's so small here. It's kind of funny, but I could show you right in front. There's this Mother's Beach, little Marina Beach, very mellow, very calm, next to this super busy boat parking lot, second busiest boat parking lot on the planet. It's going to be crazy this weekend. Next to the ocean, Pacific Ocean, the world's biggest wilderness. And behind me here, it's just all complexes, apartments. And I still, after being here for 12 years, I guess, there's people in this apartment building behind me that'll walk by. I'm like, one of these days, I'm going to come try that. And you're like, dude, what are you waiting for? You should,
Yeah.
live here. So people come to LA. We're lucky. I mean, people come here not for, maybe in sort of other parts of Southern California, they'll come here for Southern California living, but maybe they come here for work first, or maybe Hollywood or Silicon Beach stuff, or this might be changing a bit as we speak, but they come here for other reasons, and maybe 10 years later, it occurs to them, since they're here, they should try this ocean stuff out. So we get that person, and then we have a ton of tourists. So I get people from all around the country, from, whatever, Kansas and Michigan to Sweden and Brazil and Russia, and people come from everywhere. So I feel like I get this taste of everybody.
Hmm.
And, we talk a lot about how everybody's background plays a role and everybody's goals are different. The water's kind of this interesting equalizer. You get some very fit, healthy people that are afraid of the water, and they're going to have a hard time. And you get some, 10-year-old dynamo who's totally not afraid. And, that's kind of, it's a discovery period for everybody. And that's kind of ocean stuff too. And our goal here really is to get our marina paddlers to the ocean. And actually, I'd be curious for your experience, but I feel like back in those early days, my experience of it, I wasn't really the first time paddleboard around. There's people doing it for a decade at least before me, or at least 5 or 6 years. And I just felt like it was an ocean activity.
Well,
And I
most of
felt
those,
like,
yeah, most of those events you and I went to right at the beginning, I started the same time as you, were in the ocean. I was talking to my friend Terry Plunkett, if you remember her. We just went
yeah,
and did them without, really knowing exactly what we were doing. But okay, you went through the waves to go out, and you went in the ocean, and you came back in through the waves. And we weren't
right.
necessarily good at it, and you fell off a bunch, but you didn't really care, and it was okay. But yeah, there's more sort of studied and careful people. My training group is inside of a harbor. And I'm surprised that, people don't get out into the ocean probably as much as, I don't know. I think that's where the magic happens too, is I love the inconsistency of the ocean.
You're right. I agree. So I feel like there's something about, you really have to be in the moment there. It's changing all the time. It is magical. It's this gift to have it right here. It's kind of amazing to have it right next to LA. But during that time, and I think early on, it was like just big waves and cold. And maybe that first winter, I'm like, well, that doesn't seem like I want to launch. I'm going to go practice after work and get into this marina. And it felt not exactly illegal, but it didn't feel allowed to be on a surf board in the marina. Having to go call everybody and be like, can I do this? Like, what do I need to know? And the Coast Guard at that time, they just started, recently, I think in 2008, figured out we should be called vessels in the inland waterways. But I didn't know that. And, to have PFDs and whistles and lights. So originally, everybody that I knew was really paddle surfing in the ocean, and a few people in the marina. And it's truly the opposite now. I mean, there's hundreds of people coming into this marina. And, still a fair amount in the ocean, but it's a big barrier of entry, and I get that. And it also is doable. And, we have this little step-by-step instruction that we do to get people to discover if it's something they enjoy doing, to discover if it's something they want to do more of and take to the ocean, and then how to kind of guide them through that. That's super rewarding when you get people that kind of don't even know that this is something they want to do, let
Hmm.
alone something they can do, let alone it's something that all they do. I have a good story. I wish there's a guy, his name is Nathan, and he's just sort of showed up one day. I was referred actually from another paddle school, but his goal was to paddle from LA to Long Beach. He was going to commute to work.
Oh, wow.
right? So yeah, I'll speak to work. I was like, no, Nathan, I love this idea. Believe me, I'm on board. But I feel like we need to talk about what this really is that we're getting into. It's probably not so feasible. And Nathan is actually, he was a war correspondent, a writer for Rolling Stone. And at one point in his life, he needed to take a break and he walked from Manhattan to New Orleans. And he's just this dude, right? He needs to do that stuff. So I'm like, well, if you're going to do that, which I don't think, maybe we could do it together one time. It's not really a commutable thing, but you're going to have to go through waves, right? You're going to be in the waves. And he was like, no, I know myself. I don't want to be in the waves. I grew up Cape Cod. I've been in the surf zone. I know I don't want to do that. That's just not me. So I'm like, okay, well, we have a little semi-protected area here around the corner. We have a little permitted operation. We can launch, they could be big, decent sized waves, but they're small. We practice timing and maybe catching a bit. And so we'd done some flatwater lessons. It was time for him to try this on a calm day. And he caught some waves on his knees. And it like gleeful, jubilant, like just like giggly fun for this adult grown man with a massive beard. And he just was like, I love this. He's like, I'm all about this. I'm totally wrong. I mean, he just didn't even know that he would want to do that. And he lives on Venice Beach. So he got aboard and that whole year he just went in and out really on his knees. And to his credit, where there's a ton of kind of people watching, he just like, no, I'm going to be on my knees. I'm happy to be on my knees. And that winter we had a sort of big waves. We had decent, regular, reoccurring 6 to 7 foot beach breaks. And he just would go out and come back in and fearlessly doing all this stuff. Meanwhile, all of the D-rings are being ripped from the leash from the board and like he's just destroying his gear. And this is really what he does. His body, everything is transformed. And he surfs prone, he surfs paddle, he travels and paddles. This was a thing he didn't even know he wanted to do. And I think it's such a good story. And that, I look for more people like that. Give them an opportunity to try
Yes.
it. And then they'll see. And maybe, it's different ways to do it. We all have different ways. I'm, again, super lucky to have this flatwater area to start and really lucky to have a semi-protected ocean area. And just to get them in and out. And, some people just get into it. And, we've had some great success stories with all that. That's, it all kind of comes together. There's one other young lady who did that because she wanted to go paddle around this island in Croatia. And so part of the Perfect Paddles business that I added was kind of connecting other paddle pros like me who are way too into this around the world to help each other so we could all benefit local knowledge, go do all this stuff. And this girl was kind of new and she needed a guide. And so Lusa Kordic, who actually was a PSUPA instructor, you may have heard of her
Yes,
too.
I've met her in Northern California. She used to be in like the
Northern
Oakland
California.
area. Yeah.
Yeah, so she'd moved to Croatia, and I was like, hey, this girl has this life ambition to paddle around the island of Vis, and she doesn't really paddle. Like, she's brand new, and it's a 30-something mile round trip, and it takes a couple of days, and so we coordinated and got her a guide, and so then she practiced with me she was like a year and a half of hardcore practice, and then she went out and did this 3-day overnight camping, amazing experience, and now she's kind of off to the races too. So
Wow.
uh,
Those are
yeah, right.
those are both amazing stories. Yeah. And I want to come back to Paddle Method and your main business, and hopefully everybody listening follows you. But I love that was an interesting segue about Perfect Paddles because I haven't seen anything like that. It seems like a really unique platform for connecting people with other coaches and with places and helping people find them. You're almost it's more than a travel agency for stand up, but somewhat.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, it's all us. It's all me. It's all like, what do I need when I go somewhere? I learned I should call somebody and find out. I want to know who to call and who to contact, and it just turned into this resource, and I sharing it online and having a way for people to find great places to paddle. It's tricky. Like, you can Google a lot of this, but it's not really enough,
No.
right? And so I grew up sailing, and this comes from sailing guides in New England, where you read about the cruising ground and what to expect when you go there. And I just really early on, based on that first experience, I'm like, people need to know about this shop. They need to know about this manta ray, who's my buddy. And we need to know that it's not that point, it's the other point. And we also need to know if you do it at the wrong time of day, you could get blown out to sea.
Yeah.
And it changes. And so the real idea was to find, perfect paddle locations are amazing places to paddle with a professional coach and great gear in a place where you could do all that you can do on a paddleboard, from cruising to flat water, surfing, rivers, all that good stuff in one spot, and be able to contact the local pro. There's some guy or girl like me who lives there year round and is fanatical about it, and to connect with that person and get some real-time help or info.
Yeah.
And we kind of, we're ships in the night. I always kind of end up somewhere. I'm like, Kristen was just here in a cave paddleboarding, or Lake Powell or wherever. And I will do it all the time. I'll contact Lake Powell and say, hey, I have some experience, but how do I not die, and how do I have a lot of fun and get this straight info right off the bat? So we're just relying on experts for their local pro. We want to present it in a way that's accessible for all levels, and just have this online resource that's all about paddleboarding and kind of blue space wellness and health and kind of all the things I got out of this sport, just a way to share it all.
Oh,
so
fantastic. So that has a Facebook as well as a website, right?
Yes. So yeah, Instagram and Facebook, and there's Facebook group and a page, and the website, there is a ton of stuff there. I mean, I have some great people that are helping with this. It's definitely not all me writing kind of this content, curating this content. So there's a directory. You can find all paddle pros that are certified and doing this quickly. You can reach out to them really quickly and maybe help you plan a trip, and we'll help you plan a trip. And seasonal, if you're planning I paddle in the off season technically. So if I'm going to paddle and it's December and I'm going to New England, I definitely need some info. And there's definitely people out there paddling, like Manhattan Kayak and SUP are year round in Manhattan, paddling in the snow in the winter. It's maybe not for everybody, but it is for me.
That's hardcore. I still need to get a dry suit if I'm going to do some of that. Yeah. So besides connecting with those people, I know you've helped out. I don't guide, but my friend Erin, I have co-guided on a number of her trips. So she does the research and the main planning and everything, and I have gone with her. And I know Perfect Paddles has been a resource, a place to say, hey, we're taking people on a self-supported camping trip on Lake Powell, or we're doing a new one in the Yucatan in October that I'm super excited about. And what a great place, again, to connect those kinds of trips too, and the travel.
Totally. The whole thing, when I did all this stuff, honestly, it's really like, how do I let everybody know about Erin? Right? She's amazing. Like, she does things. I've been doing this a long time, and I'm like, I don't even know how you do it, how you pull it off, how the training, all the stuff to get ready to make sure of possibly anything that could come up, and everybody has an amazing time with her. So I'm too intimidated to pull off big trips like that on my own. And big part of Perfect Paddles was I'm like finding somebody like Erin or that local person to partner with to help. So we all want to do all these things. It just really, you do need sort of the catalyst, the engine to kind of make it happen, and somebody with her expertise. I hope to go on her trips too. I'm always working when she's working, but it really is a skill set, and it really is planning and just a way to take into account all those things. You know better than I, because you've done it. But for her to find all these great places, make it happen, arrange the equipment, plan for what do you do if it's a rainy day and still make the most of that area. I do strongly believe the world needs to know about Erin and other people like that to make all this stuff possible. So that's a big part of it. So I made this before I met her and realized she was doing it, but she's an example of somebody we want to promote, because I think it's how the whole the industry's going to develop around somebody like her, from an inspiring standpoint and a knowledge standpoint and all those good things.
Yeah. So. Well, I think your platform is so needed. And I think with this second surge that we've had through COVID of people getting on the water for the first time, and I'm sure you see plenty of, inflatables are a thing now that they weren't in our part of the world. They have been in others. But we people want that adventure, that expedition, that amazing experience that most people don't have the very first time, like you did with the manta ray,
Right.
but they want that. And so whether it's like you said, I'm already traveling, who do I connect with, for those who are, and there's definitely an independent streak, I think, in a lot of us, at least the early adopters in stand up. But as we grow to the, it's an accessible thing that everybody can do. How do
Yep.
we help connect people to make sure they're doing it and they're having fun and it's safe, and they're finding instruction, which is so important. So thank you for what you're doing with that.
Mark, Kristen, you totally get it. Yeah, no, you're exactly right on all those points. So, I mean, we both love this. I think everybody shares a passion for all this stuff, and so we get to express it some way through teaching or guiding or inspiring people and bringing people together and subconnect and having these lives. I just think the more of that, the better. And you're right. There's a lot of new people in the sport, and I would hate for everybody to think we do get this. People are surprised that you can go outside of the marina. And in this part of the world, we have a lot of traffic on the land and in the marinas. So giving people sort of access to this and beyond
Yeah.
is, I think we're the beginning part of that. And yeah, hopefully we all kind of,
I very
help
much,
grow
yeah,
together.
you mentioned Blue Mind, and I say it almost so often, but living in a county between two cities that has 3 million people, if I didn't have the water to look at, to touch, to be on, to be in, I don't know what I'd do. It would be too much. I couldn't live in that dense
Yeah.
society, but water just is that peace, that calm. And you talk about that as one of your missions of connecting people and helping them find all those wonderful things that we have found about being
Yeah.
on the
And
water.
I mean, it's a discovery journey. I mean, everybody says that stuff, but I definitely was like an evolving process where I was like, oh yeah, I could do this. And then lucky to be in this time and place where there's a lot of enthusiasm and events. And we want to let people know that you can go paddle in all these places and have these moments. And it's like, paddling's kind of a practice. It's a little like yoga. You learn some
Yeah.
moves and you practice regularly, and paddling, get a skill set, work on that, but have moments and be in that moment. And that's a great takeaway. And it's always changing. You're always kind of learning, and it's good. It's just kind of an ongoing thing. So
Oh,
yeah,
I
we're
love
pretty
that.
lucky.
I've never thought of it like yoga, but it is a practice like yoga, and it does have, yeah. Wow. I like that.
Yeah,
Gonna remember that.
good.
Well, I
Yeah.
think one thing that's been great is that you do have some business background and the passion, because I saw, having worked in the industry for quite a while there as the executive director of the industry association, there was so much passion at the beginning, but definitely sometimes people who started a business who didn't have a business background, and sometimes that's kind of where there was stumbling and falling. And we definitely have had some, like any, the business side of it has had some ups and downs, but I think you had that background from the start, so knew the business side as well as having the vision and passion and a goal. So
But I think I a little lucky in there too, but I just have embraced the iterative process. Really helped because of the timeline of the growth of this sport. I mean, if I had the money to match my passion back then, I would have set something up and had like a handful of really passionate customers, but not enough to kind of make a thing. And so just making it iterative and being able to discover like, well, what do I need? What can I do? And, it probably just timed out fairly well. And, we're still iterating. We're still figuring it out. It's part of the process, which again, I love that part of paddling. I love that part of the business, but it's helpful. It's helped me to all those, background prior jobs and businesses definitely help with this for sure.
yeah. Well, the paddle method, I think a lot of people who instruct sometimes just have that one lesson, just have a beginner lesson and kind of leave people. Now you're off, which some people, that may be all they need. And I think, again, that instruction, like we talked about, the safety and all that's super important. But a lot of people are looking for more, whether they're looking for community, whether they're looking for training, whether they're looking for an expedition kind of adventure where you take them out or take a group out. So it seems like you've really developed, again, a way for people to come back, which is good for business, but also fills a need.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point, actually. So I think back to initial efforts, iterations, and we'd be like, well, I get so much out. We got to do like a 3 hour paddle. It's got to go on forever. We need to like have a lunch break and do a thing. And like for a lot of people, that is way too much. And really just being in this situation to observe all this unfold and kind of watch how people react and just sort of be like, you know what, this is not helpful. It needs to be broken up, and it's too much to absorb. And the things that people are absorbing, if you didn't grow up with water
Mm.
in your background, is pretty fundamental stuff. And I don't want to turn people off to this. I want to provide steps to kind of get into all that. And so that was pretty organic, and that it still evolves to this day where I'm like, you know what, I think we need to cut this part out of the land, focus on that, or we need to add a break in here and there and off to the land. And like all these little things have kind of developed. And the one other thing I would say, I would almost turn the camera on if I could, but it's nothing too obvious at the moment. But where we teach here, I also feel like about this, there's can have this wind, onshore breeze blowing people into the second busiest boat parking lot on the planet. And at a low tide, there's like a tiny amount of space for people to learn how to know where the wind's coming from, paddle against the wind, stop quickly. I mean, boats come out of anywhere, parking, going nowhere.
Hmm.
All these fundamental skills. And then the big takeaway for me was, we had an issue with it wasn't really an issue, but it was a conversation that was getting heated between the boaters and the paddlers early
Hmm.
on,
Hmm.
where paddlers, I'm like, from a sailboat guy, I'm like, these are underpowered vessels. These are people who they know what to do. They just can't because it's the wind, or, it's a wave. They can't really do it. So teaching speed, like a burst of speed or an endurance stroke, something you can do long term and to maintain control and stability, I was like, this takes more than a lesson. So that was very practical. Keep doing this for people to enjoy it. I was like, well, we need to do a speed lesson. And I went through names and names, and really it comes down to you just need to paddle in the wind, right? So it's going to come up. So keeping it practical, and I felt like people responded to, you're right, I do need to know how to paddle in the wind. And there is technique to this that we know. Didn't think about technique too much when I started, but we go talk about a lot of sports with sticks. It's how to use your hips, your core, and we talk about core a lot, but really how to kind of get your hips into it. And there is technique to create speed and power, and it is practice. And we have these little wind workouts or afternoon sunset paddles where we practice together. And having that ocean is this really great learning curve. It's right over there, and all these things we teach in our first class: how to go fast and straight, how to hold position, how to do a 180 really quickly or go in reverse. There are also ways you do to get in and out of waves, surf zones. So it just became this really naturally good ladder
Yeah.
to show all sides of this learning curve and to slow everybody down and be like, it's okay, take your time. And you're not ready, come in the morning when it's not windy if you want a little bit more action, because you do all these things. And us questioning people, for me to learn to ask people where the wind's coming from was a big revelation probably about 3 or 4 years ago. And maybe knowing that 20% of people don't know where the wind's coming from, it's okay. Why, they don't need to think about it, but here they need to. So it's been an evolution for me to kind of figure out what's best for people, or what I think is best, or what, learning
Yeah.
curve there needs to.
Well, how great that you have developed your method. Paddle Method, again, is the name of Tim's main business there. And then I'm also glad to hear you have help, because I didn't know how you're doing perfect paddles, because it really has some good content and everything. Like, does
Major
he sleep? When is he doing all of that?
major blunder on my part, having to it started off was like, I have this really busy summer season and I can do this year round, which is great, but for half the year rather, I have a little extra time. So I'm like, I'll get into my other projects, and I feel great that I'm able to do it. And then slowly, as everything ramps up, my eyes are crossing. And but I had a lucky group of team members that come along that have really jumped in and helped. And Daniel writes, and we pursue post and content together, and Sean and Chris work on the web development. It's all a big creative process that we all share. And it's overwhelming, but people like Stacy, who I met through Perfect Paddles,
Yeah.
amazing. Like she's amazing on her own,
Oh
and
yeah,
I'm
I
sure
know
you.
her. I don't, she's usually Costa Rica. I'm watching her doing her surf stuff there and stuff. So to see her just sitting right there. In fact, Stacy, if you're still listening, she said, I think I can do triple screen, like if she wants to show Mother's Beach, if you're still down
Oh
there,
yeah,
Stacy.
cool,
She was saying
awesome,
she
yeah.
would, but let's see if she's still listening in. And hi,
For
Stacy.
technical
Yeah, I
difficulties.
think I can invite you in too, and we can have both of you if you're down on the beach and you can show. It's funny because like you said, it's not a huge space, but it's so iconic. I have been there so many times and
Right.
done
It's a little
different events from there, and yeah,
California
it's good
all
for you.
beach with these 5 little marinas. Look at
Hey! And it's
the,
funny you're talking about wind because we can hear.
Yes, I wonder what direction is best, but
There, that's good. Yeah,
It is coming in front of me,
yeah,
and here we are at Mother's Beach in Los Angeles. And Tim was talking about right here we have the marina.
yeah.
You can see
yeah.
it.
A busy,
Okay.
busy place. And
Oh,
so,
boat,
Yeah.
turn to
Who's
the
in
left.
to
There
the
you go.
left?
No, you're good. Do what you're doing.
oh, she's stalling. Can you see that little circle thing that I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
What's up? Randy from Virginia says hi, Stacy. But I love
yeah.
we do have an amazing community in stand up. And like you said, in other sports and in sailing, they had the perfect paddles type thing. But it really is different still because I feel like we're automatically friends when we connect with through this type of thing.
You're right. There's something about the water connection, and well, maybe we'll get her back. But yeah, it's amazing, and I'm also interested in, I find it interesting. People, we all had our normal lives going, and then we did this, and somehow there was like this big change, right? It ticked a lot of boxes for me, and I'm like, I'm gonna kind of drop everything and focus on this new thing that wasn't even a thing. And that's what I do like about Perfect Paddles. I am interested in everybody that teaches and what else they do and how they express it through their part of the business. And I think of somebody like Spirit Sup and Adam down there who's has indigenous roots from his growing up around there, and he does like he's a rips. He's a paddle surfing maniac, but he does a coastal foraging paddle where you're
Oh,
like, what? He grew up around. I'm like, how cool! Like he knows the area and how to experience it from a paddleboard and coastal foraging. And I've
yeah.
forgotten her name, unfortunately, but she teaches in Colorado and she's a music teacher and she does ukulele lessons on her paddleboard in
Love
Colorado
that.
Lake.
Love that. Yeah.
All these
Yeah.
cool ways, different people sharing their passion with everything. It's pretty great. So,
Totally
but
great.
I feel like one of these days we're going to see each other in person. Maybe it'll be not even. I don't know.
Yes, well, I need to, yeah, get up there sometime soon. So let's go back to you. You're very busy. It's your season, but how about you as a paddleboarder? I mean, you shared that amazing first story with the manta ray in St. John, but are there places you still want to go, types of stand-up paddling you haven't done yet, even though it's your world?
Yeah, no, thank you for that. Stacy's coming in to say hey.
Hi.
Welcome back.
Sorry.
It's okay.
No, it was good. We got to see it.
Hey.
So yeah, I mean, it's endless. Like at one, I really want to make time to just do what I used to do, which is launch in front of Venice Beach and paddle between the piers, catch some waves, jump off my board, lay on it for a while in the sun. That's going to be the first thing I do when I get a breath of break and just go do that. And then I'm always thinking and paddling trips and adventures and where I might kind of go. I know you are doing the same thing. It is kind of overwhelming. So, but in terms of like skills and things I want to do more of, I definitely want to go up and do some more downwinders, and I want to do a river. I want to do a little more whitewater. You may know him, John Stallone, up in Kern River. He is kind of a hardcore kayaker and paddleboarder enthusiast. And I did this one time, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I don't even know. But all I remember was a forest fire. It was smoky, very ominous. I met John Stallone. His nose broken in 4 different ways and all kinds of gear on to go down this whitewater river. And I'm like, Okay. And so we did that. It was a magical, cool experience. And I'm somewhat very respectful and intimidated by rivers, but I love the idea of maybe doing a distant river trip. I definitely think the kind of more adventure and extreme paddle, multi-day paddle, I don't know, races or adventure races are exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to do more of that. We did one years ago from Redondo to San Diego, a 2-day trip. It was awesome and fun. That was an eye-opener where I'm like, yes, no, I want to just do this and be on the water the whole time. So more multi-day paddle adventures and then an endless list of places to go.
Yeah.
Right?
It
So
is endless. I mean, 70% of the water planet is water, so we've got a lot to still cover, don't we?
we do. So yeah. No, I mean, I could. What's recently of places you've been? Any suggestions?
Well, I'm serving a little bit different role of these many jobs. So I've been a race director last weekend in Oklahoma at an amazing training facility. Who knew? Never thought I'd get on the water in Oklahoma. And I did squeeze in a little bit of water time. And then I'm in Eastern Europe because I'm heading to Poland where we're having a world championship. So being a race official isn't getting on the water, but getting connected with, my whole amazing race community in a whole different way. So that has been fun.
Giving people a place to get together in person through those races is key. The more of that, the better. And I feel like there's more of a grassrootsy feel and vibe to the race community happening. Local races, little local communities popping up. So the more of that, the better.
I don't know if he's still on, but this guy, Aaron Atkins, a friend, a paddler, lives inland, built a trailer for boards because he loves one-way paddles. He loves the downwinders or just one way. So he built a trailer, invites people just, via text, okay. And he's doing the whole coast of Southern California in pieces and just invites people to join him. He brings his trailer, but he loaned it to a group of us who race. And that's how all the boards got to Oklahoma from Southern California. He's a teacher, so he had to go back but he loaned his truck and his trailer. Talk about a great community and a generous, big-hearted group of people. So we just use that in Oklahoma. So shout out to him and that whole group. But yeah, again, there's amazing groups and communities that grow out of this amazing sport of stand-up paddleboarding.
Yeah, it's not really easy work. It's challenging, and I mean, it is to do a downwinder one-way trip seems pretty straightforward, but it's really not. I mean, you have got to build the trailer. You have got to get a team of people to help. It helps to know, this is what we're trying to focus on, is helping people know and express where their skill level is so we can paddle together in situations and kind of work together, and the language needed to kind of express what the experience is like and what they want to have. But it's impressive, somebody like that, right? I mean, you got to love it to put it all together. And thankfully he did. So yeah,
he is
I
here.
Want to go.
Ride like a diesel. Yeah. He's coaching volleyball right now and teaches shop and but loaned us that equipment. So cool. Paddle Method and Perfect Paddles, two awesome, both websites. So whether you need in-person work at any level, Tim's your guy in Los Angeles, out of Mother's Beach and areas around Marina del Rey. And Perfect Paddles, you have to check it out, both a Facebook group and a website, because we all want those adventures, or to find the person when we are traveling, or to dream about the place we're going to go next.
Yeah, if you guys know anybody that's teaching, or like Eric, or has a great location or something, and they want help us, we'll help them build their business or kind of promote what they do, just to inspire all of us. But if anybody knows of anybody, please contact us and we can reach out to them. But promote them on the site and all the social media challenge. I think the more channels, rather, the more of us doing that, the better. So we're always there's so many nooks and crannies to explore. If you know somebody who's loves it and knows it well, because they're there all year long, I'd love to hear about it. So.
Well, always about connecting, and that's what you do, and that's what SupConnect does too. So thanks again, everybody who's listening. It's top of the hour here, and I need to let my husband go to bed because it's 11 here in Eastern Europe. But
everything
Yes. Remember to tell your friends. Oh, and Stacy, it was so good to see you. Mwah. Yeah. Maybe we'll see you in person when I'm back in California.
Yes.
Thanks.
Hopefully so.
This immediately goes to IGTV. Then it will be on Sup Connect and my KT Outside YouTube shortly. Thanks, everybody. And let people know if this is something up their alley, whether it's paddle method or Tim's perfect paddles, to check out the saved video. Take
I
care,
love it.
both of
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Appreciate the
You too.
time. Bye.